When my uncle died, my entire family thought he had nothing. They were wrong. He left behind over $3 million hidden in a safe only I could open. And what was inside changed everything. I thought I knew about him and about my family. This is that story. My name is Sarah Whitmore, 36 years old. I teach American history at Savannah Arts Academy on Washington Avenue in Savannah, Georgia. I drive a 2018 Honda CR-V. I have a cat named Lincoln, who is 13 years old and completely indifferent to my existence, except at 6 a.m. when he sits on my face until I feed him. I tell you these things because I want you to understand who I was before any of this happened. Not special, not important in the Whitmore family, just the unmarried schoolteacher niece who visited Uncle Robert on Sunday afternoons. That was my role. That was all anyone thought I was. They were wrong about that too. My family always thought Uncle Robert was ordinary, quiet, a little strange, unimportant. He had worked at the Savannah Public Library for 8 years. Then he became a property assessor. Nobody in the family quite understood that. My grandfather, before he died, said Robert had wasted his potential. My father was gentler. He said Robert had found his own path. What nobody said, what nobody thought to say, was that maybe Robert knew exactly what he was doing and had been doing it for 40 years, while everyone else was looking somewhere else. I started visiting Uncle Robert on Sunday afternoons when I was 22, right after I graduated from University of Georgia, same school he had attended. He came to my graduation. He was the only one in the family who had read my senior thesis, a study of Savannah's historic district and the property disputes of the 1960s. He called me the week after graduation. Your thesis, he said. Yes, the section on the Gaston Street properties. You got the legal history wrong on the 1962 dispute. I was 22 and slightly offended. I used 3 primary sources. I know, he said. Come Sunday. I'll show you the correct documents. I came Sunday. He had the documents. He was right. I was wrong. And we had been meeting on Sunday afternoons ever since. 14 years of Sundays. His house on Jones Street was not what you'd expect. From the outside, modest. White paint. Green shutters. Inside was different. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. In every room. Maps framed on the walls. A study in the back. With a desk that looked like it had been used hard for 30 years. Because it had. And in the corner, the safe. Old steel. Green paint. A combination lock. With 4 digits. I had seen it 100 times. Over 14 years of Sunday afternoons. I had never asked what was in it. It seemed private, in the way some things just are. And here's what I keep thinking about now. I never asked. Not once. And he never offered. But he knew I had noticed. He always knew what I noticed. 6 months before he died, he was diagnosed with a heart condition. He told me on a Sunday, over tea, the way he told me everything, calmly, with the specific kind of honesty that comes from not being afraid of the truth. I'm going to need to get some things in order. What things? The house, the contents, the arrangements. He looked at me. You're the only one in this family who has ever been curious about the right things. What does that mean? The particular smell of old paper and wood polish that I had associated with Sunday afternoons my entire adult life. I went to the study. The safe was in the corner. Old steel, green paint. I knelt down in front of it. And here's the thing. My hands were shaking. I don't know why I'm admitting that, but they were. I turned the combination lock. 1966. The lock clicked. And when I opened it, I honestly wish I had recorded my reaction. Confused, a little angry that nobody had seen him, maybe all of it. At the same time, item 2, a bank statement. Wells Fargo, a private investment Catherine O'Dea. Item 6. A small leather journal. His handwriting. Dated entries. From 1973 to 1981. I didn't read it. That morning, I closed it carefully. Some things need more time. Item 7. A handwritten note. 1 page. Addressed to me. Sarah, you are now reading this because you opened the safe with the year. You know better than most people in this family. That is not an accident. I chose you because you are the only one who ever came on Sundays without wanting something. You came because you were curious. That is the rarest thing I have ever encountered in a human being. What you have found is the result of 40 years of paying attention. The properties and the account are yours outright. The letter, please deliver it to Catherine O'Dea. She has been waiting a long time for it. I should have been braver. When I was alive, I was not. This is my attempt to correct that. Now that I am not here to be afraid. The journal. Read it when you're ready, not before. Take your time, Sarah, with all of it. Your uncle, Robert. I sat on the floor of his study for a long time. Lincoln, who I had brought with me because I didn't want to be in that house alone, came and sat in my lap. He never does that. He is not a lap cat, but he sat there anyway, and I let him. Be honest with me for a second. When you think about my uncle building all of this completely in secret, 40 years, never telling anyone, do you think he should have told his family? Comment yes if you think he should have shared more. Comment no if you think some people are entitled to build their lives completely in private. Because what I found when I finally read the journal changed how I understood not just my uncle, but my entire family. The journal told me about Catherine O'Dea. I read it over 2 nights, slowly. The entries from 1973 to 1981. The years he and Catherine had been together. The years my grandfather, a man with very specific ideas about Savannah, in 1973, had made it clear that the relationship was not acceptable, not because of Catherine as a person, because of the world my grandfather had decided to live in. Robert had been 25 years old. He had loved someone. His family had told him he couldn't, and he had listened and spent the next 40 years building a life that answered to no one, building quietly and maintaining through letters tucked in the journal, a correspondence with Catherine that had never fully stopped. He had not been with her, not the way they might have been, but he had never entirely let go either. The letter in the safe, the one he asked me to deliver, was his last one. The family found out about the estate 2 weeks later. My father called first. Sarah, Helen Marsh's office, sent a letter. It mentions other assets. Yes, I said. What other assets? I told him. The 14 properties, the investment account, the combined value. Silence. Long silence. Robert had nearly $3 million. Yes. And he left it all to you. Yes. More silence. Why didn't he tell us? I thought about the journal. I had read it by then. All of it. Because I said finally, some things are private. And he had his reasons. My father was quiet for a long time. Are you going to contest the will? Silence. No, he said. His voice was different. Something had gone out of it. He was my brother. If he wanted you to have it, you should have it. I heard something in his voice I had never heard before. Not grief exactly. Regret. The particular sound of a man realizing he had dismissed someone for a very long time without ever understanding what he was dismissing. I'm sorry, Sarah, he said. For what? For not knowing. credit, without recognition. When I left her house, I sat in my car for a while, not from sadness, from the specific feeling you get when you understand something fully for the first time, and you realize you have been living alongside it without seeing it clearly. And now you do. I moved into the house on Jones Street. 4 months later, I kept the bookshelves. I kept the maps. I kept the desk. I put a small lamp on it and started working there in the evenings, grading papers in a room that smelled like old paper and wood polish and felt like the most honest place I had ever been. Lincoln has claimed the armchair by the window. He does not share it. I have accepted this. My father came to the house on Jones Street 2 months after I moved in. He stood in the doorway. "I was never in this house," he said. "I know," I said. "May I?" "Of course." I gave him the tour. He stopped at every bookshelf, read the spines, stopped at the maps, stood for a long time in front of a framed map of Savannah from 1892. He loved the city, my father said. "He did," I said. "More than any of us knew." "Yes." My father was quiet. "I should have come here more," he said. "Yes," I said. "You should have." Not cruelly, just honestly. He nodded. We went to the kitchen. I made tea. He sat at the table, where Robert had sat every Sunday afternoon for 30 years. "Tell me about him," my father said. "The way you knew him." So I did, for 2 hours. My father listened, the way he had not listened often enough, but was listening now, which is, sometimes, what you get when you finally understand what you missed. Here's what I want to tell you. Not the money, not the properties. The real lesson. My uncle built something. The will was read. His brother called the attorney. The attorney said, "Sir, your brother's approval is required for any operational decision in this company. You may want to call him." He called. His brother picked up on the first ring. "I've been expecting your call," he said. "I think we should talk. I'll see you there."